of George Floyd in Washington tonight. Here to talk about that, as well as big news this week after the May jobs report was released, counselor to the president, Kellyanne Conway. Good evening, Kellyanne. I'm sure that you are very happy, very pleased about the positive jobs report. What does it portend for the viewers watching the show tonight?
Jeanine, the Great American Comeback has already started. It's ahead of schedule. So obviously pre-pandemic, the Trump economy had lifted so many different boats. The deregulation, the tax cut, the energy dominance, and of course just the president's policies that allowed small businesses to form and to flourish, the average household income going up, the tax liability going down, more businesses and consumers saying they had confidence. Then we got hit with a global pandemic, which was obviously a health crisis and a financial crisis for our nation. But the same man who created the historic economy is creating the rebound of the historic economy. So the predictors and the economic forecasters, I think, are the same as the election forecasters. They just all say the same thing, not in agreement like bobblehead dolls, and then get it terribly wrong. They predicted a loss of 7.5 million jobs. We created 2.5 million. Jeanine, that is the strongest jobs report in history. You'd have to go back to September of 1983 to have the second highest jobs report ever. That was 1.1 million. Yesterday was 2.5 million. It also means that jobs in industries that were particularly hard hit by the pandemic, like leisure and travel, are coming back. Almost 50% of the jobs in this May report were in leisure and travel. That's great news. Construction is on the rise. Education and healthcare services on the rise. So it's different kinds of jobs. And then also, let me end on this with the economic piece. Yesterday, the president took action to extend the time period by which small businesses could use the PPP. And let me just say that right now, the Council of Economic Advisors tells us about 73% of small businesses are up and operating. At the lowest point in April, during the height of the pandemic, it was about 52%. So contrast the way the liberal policies about businesses would totally hurt small business formation and survival. The terrible democratic policies that Joe Biden is putting forth would really bring us backward in terms of the economy. Thank you for your opening on George Floyd. I found it one of the most compelling few minutes about his senseless murder that I've heard in the last 2 weeks, and I applaud you for saying that as you did.
Thank you. I think that what we've got in this country is a concern for things that are, not as easy as people think they are. And but talking about that, what about Muriel Bowser? You're in the White House. This woman has a mural painted within a couple of blocks of the White House saying Black Lives Matter. She ends up throwing out the National Guard from one of the hotels. Guardsmen who came in, I understand, from Utah. Everybody is so ungrateful. So you're caught in a situation where you need the National Guard or you don't need them, and there is this tension. But we are still coming back, and the economy is going to come back. But how is this going to affect the president?
Well, the president has weighed in on that particular topic. I do think it's unfortunate when mayors and governors and the heads of territories, all of whom have been on call after call after call, particularly with the vice president, the leader of the task force, but also President Trump on a number of those calls. I've probably attended all but 3 or 4 or 5 of them. I was in there literally on the phone or in the room. And I can tell you that most of them are very grateful. They're saying, thank you for this. Here's what else we're seeing. And we've made all of our health experts and our economists available to each of them. And I'm glad that some people have found their voice. Look, I think there's great unrest in different parts of this country. And I believe, Jeanine, that we all want equality and justice for all. That's what our country is founded on. And we should each be fighting for that. Earlier in the week, violence broke out in our major cities. Everybody has seen the video footage. They shouldn't look away from that any more than they should look away the 8 minutes and 46 seconds of George Floyd's slow and senseless death. And why I'm saying that is because we do have to come together. The First Amendment doesn't protect violence, but I think that the response also, right, since people are now finding their voice on problems, I hope they'll continue to find their voice on homelessness and poverty and a lot of struggles that people hunger that people are feeling in these major cities as well. And so the president continues to work with all the leaders of the states on anything, including the pandemic. By the way, D.C. is like the other 50 states. They presented their plan for reopening, and we're helping them with that, and we'll continue to.
Kellyanne Conway, thanks so much. And up next, Congressman Jim Jordan on the bombshell Rosenstein testimony.